this lesson, I'll talk about social mapping as both a tool and process for producing knowledge about the city that may otherwise remain invisible. In particular, I'll talk about two important uses of social mapping. Firstly, how it can be used as a tool for understanding the social aspects of places. And secondly, how it can form part of a participatory process to involve communities in the production of knowledge about the places they spend time in. First, we have to recognise the difference between physical and social mapping. There are the more familiar topographical maps that identify fixed concrete things and their relation to one another. As we know, they can also help to identify the location of different resources in a place, such as schools and bus stops. Second, there are topological maps. These map networks, processes and time, relations beyond the physical. For example, social or economic access to resources in a place, people's perceptions of places, memories and customs, and stakeholder relations. Social mapping focuses much more on the topological aspects of places, but it is also combined with the topographical. So it can be a way of mapping more concrete geographical areas, but also for visualising social relations to allow for a more fluid conception of space. Taking a topological approach to mapping allows us to understand hidden relationships. It creates a richer picture of a place by visualising social practices that would normally be invisible. This quote by Doreen Massey helps to articulate this point. Instead then of thinking of places as areas with boundaries around, they can be imagined as articulated moments, constructed out of a particular constellation of social relations, meeting and weaving together at a particular locus. It is indeed a meeting place. We also have to consider that mapping is about power. Mapping can be used to produce new knowledge that disrupts existing understandings of places that are often imposed from above. It can therefore be used as a way for communities to challenge top-down power structures. In this way, mapping becomes a social process. As the diagram shows, the production of knowledge can disrupt the status quo and make space for alternative futures. In this way, social mapping can be used as a grassroots tool for creative disruption. So why is social mapping an important tool for architects and urban designers? Firstly, it's an important way of bridging the gap between designers and users. The design of places has typically been produced through the knowledge collected by designers. However, there are many other perspectives that need to feed into the design of a place, especially the lived experience of people using that place. In this way, mapping can be used to transfer power directly to users. People within a neighbourhood will have a deep understanding about the place. They will have their own life experiences, ideas and tastes that are tied up to that place, and they will have knowledge of the assets and needs of that place. Generally, when designers do engage with users, they collect information that they then use to inform their own design. In this way, the users remain very passive and excluded from the process. This is mainly due to the training that built environment professionals usually receive. Working together through a participatory mapping process means that different perspectives and experiences can feed into the design. I will now show an example of social mapping Architecture Sans Frontières has been doing as part of the project we're working on in Nepal. In 2015, there was a series of earthquakes in Nepal and the Kathmandu Valley was severely affected. Many homes in cities and towns were damaged or destroyed. In partnership with ASF Nepal, we ran a 2-week intensive action learning workshop for 40 built environment professionals from around the globe and 10 local practitioners. This happened in a satellite town called Bungamati. Some residents have been living in shelters for over 1.5 years now, and others are rebuilding in a very precarious way. Their culture, livelihoods, security, stability have all been disrupted, and residents are getting very little support to help them rebuild their homes, livelihoods and community life. Now residents want to start rebuilding. There is a challenge of building back better without losing the built and intangible heritage of the town. These two maps show very different ways of seeing Bungamati. The first map helped us to understand the physical organisation of the town, while the second helped us to understand the social organisation. We conducted many participatory mapping activities with residents in Bungamati. For example, we did a survey of displacement, mapped activities and places of value with children. We held focus groups to map urban flows and relations, and mapped typical days through timelines. We also did walking and talking interviews to trace journeys and stories using a storytelling app called Rambler. At the end of the workshop, we held an exhibition in the main square to share with residents, local NGOs and other interested groups what came out of all these mapping activities. We used the maps to share what we understood is happening in the town, to test our ideas about how people could respond to the crisis, and finally to build new relationships. As a result of this mapping, a conversation was started with a group of women from the area that said they wanted to take the project forward. Now the group has grown and they're working together to make this project a reality. To conclude, here are some resources that you might find useful. The first one is the website ASF Participate, an open resource where you can find mapping methods. The second one is the Atlas of Social Maps by Social Life, where you can find examples of maps and also useful mapping tools and experiences.